the whole idea here is that we don't want to operate our business out of ignorance. We don't want to just operate our business out of gut feelings, out of ideas. What we want to do is we want to operate the business from a standard of knowledge where we know exactly what we're doing is going to make a difference.
Welcome to the Fitpreneurs, the show that will help you flex your business muscles so you can make more money and live the life you really want. No more complaining, whining, or being a wimp. It's time to pump up your fitness business and push yourself beyond your comfort zone. So no girly men or lazy ladies allowed. It's time for me to do some push-ups and turn things over to my friends AJ Roberts and Simon Lovell. Hasta la vista.
Hello, and welcome to episode number 17 of the Fitpreneurs. I'm AJ Roberts.
And I am Simon Lovell. Do you know what the funny thing is? Is that we're on episode 17. This is all about numbers. And I was thinking about we could do this crazy intro like the Sesame Street, you know. Give me a 1, give me a 2, give me a 3, give me a 4. What was your favorite number as a child?
As a child growing up, number 23, Michael Jordan. I was
number 7.
Number 7. What was that?
I think because David Beckham was 7, Manchester United.
Oh.
If I've got that wrong, I'm going to be in trouble.
I know. You're going to get hate mail for that.
Ryan Giggs was 11. And then I just completely stopped watching football and then supported Exeter City. Yeah, a much better team.
For those in the US listening that don't know what Simon's talking about, because maybe you don't follow it. It's talking about soccer in Manchester United. Obviously, you probably heard of David Beckham, but we should find out if that is the right number, and if not, I will make fun of you on the next episode for sure.
I'm pretty sure. All
right. So in this episode, what we're going to be talking about, Simon mentioned it, is basically growth by numbers. But before we get into that, remember, guys, go to our website, thefitpreneurs.com, sign up for the newsletter, head over to iTunes, Fitpreneurs, and give us a 5-star review if you like what you hear. We really appreciate all of the comments and questions and everything that comes in. So keep sending those in, keep giving us feedback. We only grow and get better from that.
Yeah, absolutely. AJ, what's been happening since we last spoke last Tuesday?
I think we spoke Thursday because we got screwed up on Tuesday. So we were like a couple of days behind. So not much. It's only been like 4 days since I spoke to you. But in that time, I've booked my travels to England. So I'm heading back there at the end of September. And of course, if you listen to this later in life, I probably already have been there. I got business-wise, new websites up and running. Needs a few tweaks there, but going to be blogging heavy over there. YouTube channels cranking, new videos coming out there. Other than that, man, just working. It seems like it's strange. It's like when you find your passion, when you find what you're in love with, you seem to always be working, even though it doesn't feel like work. And so, I look and it's like, man, I don't have many hours in the day free.
I've just been to your website because you hadn't told me that it was up, and I just looked at it. It's pretty awesome, that photo.
Very GQ, eh?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So what's been going on in your world?
Well, I burnt my tongue on some soup earlier, and then I went to YouTube and looked in how to solve that, and then a fireman came up and told me it was absolutely hilarious. That was just something completely random that happened, of no interest to anybody listening. But I've been also booking some travels from the end of this month. I'm basically traveling every single month up until the end of the year. So I'm seeing you I'm going to LA first, and then I'm seeing you in San Diego, and then I'm going to Hawaii, and then I come back from Hawaii, and then I go to LA to do a seminar, and then I am going then to Fiji, and then I come back from Fiji, and then I go to India, and come back from India, and then go to Florida to see you again. So I'm just like trying to handle all these crazy flights and stuff, just trying to make sure everything's aligned up, and I've not messed up my flights and stuff like that. So
you need a concierge. You need someone to take care of that for you.
And then this weekend just gone, a couple of my clients came down, and we just spent 2 whole days mapping out systems for their business so that they can plug that in and get some awesome results. So it's been a crazy one. I didn't really have much time to chill out this weekend, so that will be happening this weekend coming. But then I got a webinar coming up, so it's constant, never-ending work right now.
Yeah, hustle. You know what's funny though? I think that we're very similar in the sense that, and I think that most entrepreneurs, and especially like fitness entrepreneurs, because they like to work out and stuff as well. And so like that's like even though it's like fun time, it's still work, right? Because it's like a part of who we are, like our image, the way we look, the way we like, it's all part of the business and part of what we do. I think the important thing is to find things that you can chill out for. Doesn't necessarily have to be a long period of time. I think too many people think you need to take like a week off to really reset. For me, I've said it before, but just going down to the beach and chilling out for, an hour it resets me, grounds me, brings me back. And I know that, I meditate, you meditate. There's a lot of stuff. You actually do that new thing now you were talking about last episode, but there's a lot of stuff you can do, like, and it's not necessarily, you need a lot of time away from work, or you need, a lot of time to do it. But you got to find those moments where you can chill out, because as you grow your business, and me and Simon both can attest to this, as you grow your business, you're going to be more busy, and you're going to fill your hours. It's going to become, everything becomes regimented, but your hours get less and less and less in the day. And obviously you can sleep less, but at some point there's still not enough hours. And so it's about, finding those things that can reset, recharge, and rejuvenate you, and really, maximizing it when you can.
I love the video you did, by the way, which is on your new website, which is your kind of stood in the gym, giving it all. It's awesome.
Oh, the delayed gratification video. Yeah. I'm starting to crank out a lot of videos now. So you're going to see a lot more motivational stuff come out, as well as training videos and workout videos and stuff like that. But the big thing is for me, and it's both when I talk to fitness professionals and I talk to, people who are trying to gain weight, gain strength, whatever it is. Most of the time they don't understand that, in order to get to a point where you can kind of relax and chill and pick and choose what you do, you kind of have to put in that grind, put in that hustle. And I think most people want to jump to the end before they apply the daily struggles. And so, at the end of the day, really, it's like anything. And we're going to actually, when we talk about the topic today, we're going to talk about daily and how important daily effort, daily input is into your business. And I think that for some of you, it's going to be a wake-up call, because you're going to realize that you're not putting in that time every single day in order to get to where you want to get to.
Yes, for sure. On my on the left of the wall in where I'm doing the podcast, if I turn the mic around so I'm not actually in a bad position, I have a whiteboard, and on that board it's got my targets for the month. And a big challenge I see, or a thing that I see a lot of trainers not doing, is that they come on calls to me and talk about their yearly income. And so what I do is, instead of even breaking it down to monthly, you want to be breaking it down to almost daily, and then weekly and daily, so you can really see like whether you're on track or not. Because if in your head you're going, I want to make X amount per year, like you've got to start breaking things down into like daily leads, sales, collected cash, all of this stuff, and it's just numbers. And I'll be honest, I hate numbers, but I have people that do the numbers for me, right? And I've gotten better at it, and and on this episode we're going to be giving you a structure to that. But to get to this, those that are at the top of their game, you can get so far by hustling, you can get so far by pushing, you can get so far. But when you start to look at the numbers and you start to really dial in, how can I make a small improvement here? How can I make a small improvement there? You bring that all together, and then you can get some amazing growth. So if for those at the top of their game, numbers is a key component, because you just want to be able to look at a sheet and go, right, these numbers don't add up. I want to hit this, I'm doing this, and you just reverse engineer where you want to be. And that's what AJ is going to go into a bit with this training, and it's just going to be so key. And again, we talked about it in other episodes, but if you're listening to this now and going, oh God, they're going to be talking about numbers, understand that the resistance you're getting is the thing that you need to break through.
Absolutely. What's funny is I've presented on numbers twice. I think you saw one of the presentations called Growth by Numbers, which we're going to, talk about today, which I shared with the mastermind. And it opens people's, when you start understanding what you need to be focused on, it opens your mind in order to then, hit those numbers. And so what most people do is they kind of fly by the seat of their pants. They don't really track what they're doing. And if they do, maybe they just track income in versus income out. But the numbers, you can really break down very specifically, and you can see what is failing you and therefore put your focus on that versus, what is working. And so as we go through, like, you may be an excellent closer, but if no one shows up, like, on a regular basis, then, just because you close 100% of the people that walk in, but if only one person's walking in a week, that's not sustainable for your business. So you need to know what you need to be focused on. And I think that's what's so important about knowing your numbers is if you want to grow. And actually, the presentation I did this year at the underground online seminar and at Change the Game, which I modified it heavily for fitness professionals, was growth hacking, which basically is how to grow your business exponentially through knowing your numbers. Okay, and that's the thing that I want the listeners to understand is that when we take a microscope out and look at our business, a lot of the times it's not as bad as we think. And the reason for that is there's just a hole that needs to be plugged. And as soon as we can figure out what that hole is and we can plug it, it will change everything. It radically changes everything. And so I think that's what is so important about knowing your numbers. It's also to understand that business is a numbers game. And that it's, if you're just not playing the game and you don't have, the people reaching out, you don't have the people showing up, you don't have the people there to convert, then you're not in the game. And so I think that's important too, because I learned that heavily when I was doing telemarketing, job I did when I was living in England. I learned that the more phone calls I made, the more people I converted. It was a simple mathematical equation that basically, out of X amount of people, someone will say yes. And sometimes it's 1 out of 10. Sometimes it's 1 out of 5. Sometimes it's 1 out of 4. You got to know those numbers. But once you do, it's just a numbers game. And so you're not emotionally attached to anyone who says yes, anyone who says no. You're not emotionally attached to how many people reach out, how many people don't follow up, because these are just part of the numbers. And the longer you do this, the more you see that it's just a numbers game, and that, at the end of the day, depending on where someone is in their journey, is the real influencer. And, your job is to keep finding those people who are ready.
Well, also, once you start to get the numbers dialed in, you can start to just look at them and find out where the holes are. If you haven't got that data, then you're just going to be not open to be able to see where the changes need to be made, but you need to know and understand which numbers you need to be looking for. And also this can apply to online stuff too. I mean, we're mostly today going to be talking about your personal training business and maybe running a studio, that type of thing. But, numbers for online marketing, something which AJ, and myself are very experienced in. Once you start to understand those, when it comes to people going to your website and those types of numbers, conversion rates of squeeze pages and that type of thing, then you can really start to get some amazing results, because it really just comes down to all the conversion points. But we're not going to be focusing on that mainly today. We might touch on it a tiny bit, but really we're going to get into knowing the main numbers within your business, i.e. clients in, leads in, those dropping out, those not showing up, that type of thing.
Yeah, I think it's the principle that is important, the idea, the concept of knowing your numbers, not necessarily what those numbers are. You will determine what those numbers are, but the truth is, if me or Simon came into your business now to help you, which we do often with people, and we ask them, we say, what are your numbers? How many people convert, how many people do it, and we're met with blank, silence, because people don't know the answer to these questions. They don't have the finger on the pulse of the business. And honestly, the most important number you need to know is really how much you want to make or how many lives you want to impact. Everyone has their different goals here. Certain people want to impact so many lives. Other people want to make a certain income. Neither is right or wrong. Obviously, both is attached to each other. But here's the thing. If we don't know how much money we want to make or how many lives we want to impact, then we really don't know what we got to be looking at. We don't know if we're on the right track or on the right path. So, the first thing really to do is figure out, how much, how much do you want to make a year? What is your goal for the year? And you can pick whatever number you want. It's arbitrary. My advice, and something I did a long time ago, was basically I listed out everything I could possibly think of that I wanted to have. Okay. And then I calculated out the cost of all that. And, that it added up to $700,000. Okay. And so that's what my yearly income goal became, because that income would give me access to everything I could ever imagine, yachts and personal chefs and nannies and things like that. So, if you don't know what you want to make and you're just picking a number randomly because you think it sounds cool, I would implore you to really, really figure out what it is you want. Okay. What's everything you could possibly want. and then break that down into your yearly income. Okay. And you'll be surprised. It's probably not as much as you first thought, because we always set huge goals. But once you have your numbers, then you really can work backwards from there. And so the next thing to do is basically you want to work out how much you want to make a day. So remember, let's say you can take weekends off. No one wants to work weekends, right? And then you want to take an additional month off a year, spread out, a week every 4 weeks or something like that. That really leaves you with about 241 days in the year. And so, if you're a personal trainer and your goal is just $100,000 a year, which is, I think you would agree, Simon, $100,000 a year for a trainer really should be, pretty much every trainer should make $100,000 a year if you ask me.
Yeah, and most trainers are on about, in the UK, figure-wise, £2,000 a month. That's the average. I don't know what that works out into US dollars. Let me go to Google.
I think so that would be about £24,000. I think that the average over here is about $36,000 a year. I think that's what I saw at the beginning of the year, which is
so £2,000 is $3,300 a month,
right? Which is I can't say that's not great income, because for a lot of people it's more than enough. But when you've got overhead, so you got a facility or you want to open a facility, those costs just aren't going to cut it. $3,000 a month isn't gonna give you your own facility with the overhead and the equipment costs and all things like that. So I think $100,000 is a very realistic number for most trainers. I don't have a doubt in my mind that anyone we work with, we can get them past that number. But at that point, at $100,000 a year, if we take 241 days that we're going to be working, remember these are actual work days, so 5 days a week, 241 days, that works out to be, roughly $415 a day, which, $415 a day is not a big number when you start to think about it and break it down. And so that's right, you need to figure out what is your daily number. And if you really want to get specific, you could figure out how many hours you work a day. And that's what, per hour you're supposed to do. But we'll talk about time management and that kind of stuff. That's probably what we should talk about on the next episode. But you need to know how much an hour is worth to you, because you need to know how much a day is worth. And that's what's important. Once you know how much you got to make a day, then that number can go front and center everywhere you look. And again, if you're dealing in how many lives you want to impact, and you're not focused necessarily on the dollars or the pounds, the goal here would be to figure out how many lives you want to impact today. So that kind of moves into that next phase, which really is what are you selling, right?
Yeah. Just before we go into that, also the benefit of doing the numbers is that you can actually work out what you want to earn, and then work out how many people you need to see and stuff we're going to be touching on, which then is going to enable you to ask a better question to yourself, which would be something like, well, based on these numbers and what I'm charging and the hours I want to do, this is not possible. And then you can ask the question, how could I make this work? Because we all know, everyone listening to this episode know that it's possible to earn $100,000 a year or $200,000 a year. It's all possible, but there's one of a few things not in place if you're not doing those numbers. So by doing the numbers and breaking it down over what you want to earn versus what how many hours you want to work and versus what you're charging, what you're upselling, then you can actually go, what really needs to change here? What's the actual problem? What's the challenge? Well, I'm seeing X amount of people, but I'm not converting them. So there's no point in getting more leads if you're not converting people. So you need to know how to sell, all right? So it's really about using the numbers to be able to ask yourself the question, so that you can ask yourself the question to give you a better answer and a better action step to take next and focus on to solve that biggest challenge.
Yeah, I think what you said is very important. It's like, for example, if we know we need to make $415 a day, and then, we think about, so what are we selling? How are we going to make that $415 a day? What are we selling? And if we're selling, $99 a month boot camps, that means we've got to sign up four to five people a day on average in order to hit our numbers. Now, the thing to remember is if they're paying that monthly, then at a certain point, you're going to get to where you don't have to sign up that many people a day. So you could work out, over X amount of months, how many, people do I need to sign up because of that building income.
But the numbers might not add up in terms of like you might be selling that amount per month in your boot camp, and then in order to make your income, you might actually not have the space to be able to fill that amount of people.
Exactly.
So by knowing the numbers, you could go, well, if this is in the place I'm currently in, I can't actually physically do those numbers based on the price that I'm charging and based on how long people stay for. So I'm just like with my clients, because they're doing like semi-private and they're charging big packages and getting people committed, they can get to their income quicker because they're charging more, they've got higher leverage, and it's just a faster process. So you may actually understand that these questions that you ask for yourself, they may make you aware that you're running the wrong model in your business.
Right, and there's no right or wrong, because if we look at it, there's personal trainers who do one-to-one training that charge $150 an hour. Right, and so 3 hours a day, and they're making this income. So again, it's not necessarily about what it is you're packaging and selling; it's how you're packaging and selling it. Right, and if you go back to the episode we did on how to raise your prices, we basically broke down what we tell our clients to do. Both Simon and I encourage people to sell high-end, expensive packaging. And now that doesn't necessarily mean that it's when we say high-end, expensive, it doesn't have to be multiple $1,000s. That's a great thing. I would employ you to do that. But at the end of the day, like it could just be changing the structure so that you're taking more money from the client up front, or you're offering more on the back end, which we'll talk about later. But that's what you need to be focused on. What is it you're selling? And does what you're selling, the numbers you want to make, does that all come together and add up? Because if you have to work 14 hours a day to make your number, it's not realistic. You know, if you just double your price, you cut your hours to 7 hours a day, right? Just by doubling your price. So you can look at ways in order to get that down. And so when you're looking at what you're selling, if you're selling, and I think a lot of people love reoccurring revenue because they can predictably know how much money they're going to make each month, and they can raise it. But if you're doing that, and you charge $199, right? You need 2 people a day, okay, in order to get to your numbers. So that's like 120 people you're going to need in the month, okay? And then once you got those 120 people signed on, you're making the number for the year. You're making your $100,000. Well, do you have a facility that can handle 120 people? Are you a trainer who's capable of handling large groups of people? What's your experience there? And so you can really start to ask yourself the questions like Simon said, is what I'm doing realistic, or do I need to change the way I'm doing it?
Yeah, this is it. Absolutely.
So once we know that, once we have what we're going to sell, and again, like if you're selling a $200 boot camp, there's no reason you can't charge for people to sign up for 12, 18, or 24 months. There's no reason you can't sell your boot camp for a year to 2 years. There's people who buy gym memberships, for 3 years, unlimited gym lifetime value they sign up for. So you can create packages with big value that work out to be $199 a month, and maybe they end up paying that per month. Maybe there's you have it in there where they get charged a little bit more, maybe $250 a month instead of $199 if they choose to pay monthly versus the lump sum. But the commitment is for that. So you have that on the book. You have the commitment. If you're just selling, month to month, no contract, no long-term commitment, it sounds sexy. You play it up as a marketing angle against the big box gyms, but it doesn't serve you, because at the end of the day, here's the truth. If you have people on monthly contracts, you don't have any long-term contracts, you don't, have any cash flow in the business, you don't have a business, because the minute you can't sell a business that doesn't have long-term contracts. And the reason for that is because the minute I took over your business, every single person could leave because they don't have a commitment to the business. So you have a $0 business apart from the equipment, the value of the equipment you have. And if you own your facility, obviously that too. So these are things that are important that most trainers don't think about. They've been sold on this model where it's, charge less, don't make people commit, all of this stuff, but it doesn't serve you as a business owner long-term in order to grow and expand and to reach more lives. So when you're creating your packages, when you're creating your offers, really think about, how does this help your business in the long run? And get over the fact that, a lot of people, they're scared to charge higher prices because they have this thought process, well, I wouldn't necessarily be able to afford that. Well, here's the thing, like the people you're working with, you have no idea what they can or can't afford. To make assumptions is just ridiculous, because, people are paying fortunes for things that we never even imagined they'd be paying for. People's cell phone bills are a couple of $100 a month. Internet at home's a couple $100 a month if you get the highest speed you can. TV, Netflix subscriptions. There's so many things that people are paying monthly now, that for you to think that they can't afford your services is just a mental block in your mind, and something that you should really listen to that last episode we just did that really went into it.
Yeah, for sure. Another thing you want to look at numbers-wise is how many prospects are reaching out to you per day. It's mind boggles me to how many people just only react to clients leaving, right? It's like, client leaves. I need to make some money. Okay, I'll make some money. I've got a new client. And they go back to normal again. Okay, so you cannot be in a business where you're just reacting to a situation happening in the business. You have to be proactive in order to get and hit your numbers, right? Which is marketing, which is putting out content, which is putting out value, which is helping people, offers, like being consistent, which again, we've talked about this in previous episode, but you need to see how many leads you got coming in per day. In addition to what your conversion rate is, i.e. if you see 5 people, how many of those typically would invest something with you, and what's the average sale value? Also, you really need to understand not just also what the initial transaction value is, i.e. the first check or not check, but the first payment you get, but really understand what the lifetime value of your customer is. How much are they going to spend over a longer period of time? Because then you can look at, and most people aren't even aware of this. Most people would say, well, I would pay, a few quid to get a new customer. But if that customer is going to for example, when I was training people, I might have people stay with me for 3-4 years. All right. So, if you know that the average client is staying with you, say, for 12, 24 months, then how much are you going to spend to acquire that new lead? And it's going to be a lot more than you think it would be. But this is just the numbers.
Yeah, so figure out what you're selling, and then, like you said, how many people are reaching out to you today, per day. The thing to note with that is you need to understand, where are these people reaching out to you from? Okay, so if you're running any advertising, are they reaching out from the advertising you're running? Are they reaching out because they stumbled across your website? Are they reaching out because they're your friend on Facebook? Where is that lead coming from? Okay, is it a referral lead? And the reason you need to know that is because if we're spending the majority of our time surfing Facebook, thinking that the posts we're putting on there and the images, and we're tagging people and we're making inspirational posts and all of this stuff, if we thinking it's helping the business, and then we start to track the numbers and notice that every single day the people that reach out to us are coming from referrals and website, why would we focus on Facebook anymore? Why would we not spend more time looking at how can we make a better referral system? And guys, again, go back, listen to the podcast episode where we talk about that. But how can we create a better referral system? How can we create a better website? You can go back and listen to the podcast on that. And then, does that increase the numbers of people that reach out per day? So again, it's about knowing where we should be spending our time. Just because we think that social is awesome, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, that doesn't mean that that's where our clients are coming from. And so we can make predictions and we can guess. But the truth is, until you track your numbers, you have no idea what's going on in your business. And that's what's so important. You need to know what's going on in your business. And, a friend of ours, mentor Kevin Nations, he just switched his entire business over to referral only because he realized that his best clients, the ones that invest the most amount of money, stay around for the longest amount of time, have all been through referrals over the years, okay? And so he's, basically looking at it like he's spending all this time talking to prospects who, aren't referrals, don't know anything about, anyone in the mastermind, don't know anything about that. He just decided, you know what? This is such a huge time investment compared to the return on investment that I'm going to cut this part of my business out. I'm going to go referral-based only. And so now he can really focus on building a referral-based business and spend his time there knowing that the clients are going to be better. And so you might find the same thing. You might find all your leads come through Facebook. So why are you wasting your time, doing anything else? You might find all your leads come on the phone. People are calling you, but you don't have someone there answering the phones. You just have an answering machine. So, you hire someone to sit there, answer the phone, and go through the script to get them to come in, because that's what's important next. Is, getting people to reach out to you is one thing, but it's how many of those people that reach out to you schedule with you, All right, there's your first number you got to meet. How many reach out, how many schedule, and then how many show up. And I think that that's the big thing that people miss too is, how many prospects, actually show up to meet you, okay? And of course, if we have an online business, this is, how many people see whatever your offer is, how many people opt in for your offer, and then how many people actually, purchase. So these are the numbers you got to be tracking. And I think that for most trainers, they really don't have a good answer on this. Like, they don't know how many people reach out for one. They don't know out of those people how many actually schedule, and then actually how many people then show up. And so if you've got, 10 people reaching out a day, but only one scheduling, there's something there you need to work on to get more people to schedule. Now, if you're getting 10 people scheduling, but only one person showing up, you got to figure out a way to get more people to show up, and there's little tricks and stuff you can do. But, you need to know, where I got to focus my energy. What is it I got to spend my time on? Maybe you got to go invest in a course to learn how to be a better closer. But at the end of the day, at least you know what you need to focus on.
Yeah, I want to have a little bit of a rant now.
Ran away, brother.
You ready? So AJ was talking about social media a little bit ago, and one common thing I see a lot of is people getting so hit up on like numbers of likes and stuff like that. I don't know about you, AJ, which is like, and it's ego. That's all it is. It's I wanna be seen to be the trainer with the most likes, and it's like it's complete ego. So like, I would rather have 200 fans on my page and know that they were, generated X amount of income than have 20,000. It's like the same as an email list, right? Then have 20,000 that don't invest anything. So it's not about the numbers. It's about what's actually happening. And so once you start to know, like AJ was saying, once you start to know where people are coming from, for example, whenever a sale is made in my business, helping Fitpreneurs with their coaching, I know now where every single sale has come from, what blog post, what webinar, whatever whether it's this podcast, I know everything. So I can then go, right, let's focus on doing more of that. And that's a concept and strategy which Fitpreneurs and you guys listening need to get on board and really just say to myself, do you know what? These actions that I've been taking, these decisions, these things that I'm focusing on right now, this is ego. This isn't based on data.
Right. So, guys, I mean, we can't really say it enough. You need to know your numbers. First of all, what is it you want to make? What are you going to sell to make that money? How many people, are currently reaching out to you today? How many people are scheduling to come in and meet with you or scheduling to get on the phone with you? How many people are actually showing up? How many people are you able to close and become a client? And then on the back end, what other opportunities are there for your clients to invest? Okay, what are your other, income opportunities there? And then, of course, what is the lifetime value of that customer, client? How long do they stay with you? Okay. And so some of you have ridiculous long averages, 3 years. Some of you have less than that, 3 months, depending on what you are selling. You may only be selling 90-day transformations. And so you got to figure this stuff out. And really, the weekly challenge we're going to issue you guys is you need to create a spreadsheet to start measuring this stuff. It's the simplest way to do it. There's different tools you can invest in and things like that, but nothing beats the old spreadsheet. I myself use the Google Docs spreadsheet and track all what they're called KPIs, which is key performance indicators. Basically, it's the numbers you need to know to really understand the pulse of the business. All right. And so for you guys, you really should do that. What I would do is basically have, every day of the week down, and then I would have at the top, I would have, how many prospects reached out. So, prospects reach out, how many scheduled, how many show up, and then how many closed. All right. And those are your numbers every day. And if you have 0, 0, 0, 0, you have spaces where zeros, those are things you need to work on, and that's the biggest thing is you can start focusing on. And so if you have 0 across the board, for a week, that doesn't serve you well. So you got to look at, okay, no one's reaching out to me. Therefore, I got to figure out this marketing gig, right? I got to figure out a consistent way to bring in leads. And maybe that's you start to focus on Facebook advertising. Maybe you start to focus on direct mail. But you can pick something, okay? And that's the beautiful thing. The end goal is not to be reliant on one thing. Okay, as your business grows, you need to expand. You need to have multiple lead sources and all this great stuff. But the thing is, most people don't have any. All right. And to go from 0 to 10, we have to get to 1 first. And that's like, you really should be focused on one thing. And once you've mastered that one thing, then you can expand and do the next thing. And so what you choose to do really is probably going to be based on your personality type. What is it you feel comfortable doing? But you have to figure out a way to get all of these things rolling. And once you've figured out, how to increase and increase and increase each one of these numbers, you're going to see your business jump up. And that's really what we call growth hacking, which is basically where we look at the numbers to dictate our actions in our business. We don't operate from gut feelings. We don't operate from ideas or just random thoughts that we think might work. We operate from the things we know that are going to work. And so again, like if you're tracking these numbers, and let's say you have 1,000 people visit your website a week, but not one person is signing up or contacting you, we know there's a problem there. We know that we got to fix the website. So we can start looking at, okay, is it direct response? Do I have a way for people to reach out? Where's the phone number? Is it hidden? Is it at the top above the fold? Is my website working on mobile? Maybe all the visitors are coming on their tablet or cell phone and they can't see the website. So you can really start to break your business down into where is it working? Where is it not working? And again, it all comes back to what's that daily number you want to make? What is it you're selling? And you guys, I would really encourage you guys to make it easy on yourselves. If you only have to make, $415 a day, let's round it up to $500 a day. Sell something that's $1,000. Then you only have to close someone every other day, right? So 3 days out of the week, we close someone. 2 other days, we're focused on bringing more people in. So, don't make it hard on yourselves. Like really get creative in what you can charge for. And, like I said, we've got the podcast that we did on that to help you guys out. But at the end of the day, like, you need to be focused on this. And the reason, I can't stress it enough, the reason is your business shouldn't operate off of gut feeling of things you think will work. It should operate off of looking at the business and making a educated decision on what needs focus in order to grow.
100%. When it comes to something like a Facebook ad, let's take a Facebook ad, for example. So, you want a Facebook ad to turn into, a client. Well, there's so many numbers involved in that process, and you may be running ads at the moment and spending money going, this just isn't working. Well, you need to know the metrics. I think we covered this in one of the episodes, but I'll go over it again because it's relevant, which is the numbers, which is, first of all, you need to get the clicks. Right, so you need to get the click-through rate. So those are numbers which you need to look at. For example, over 1%, good, and as a baseline. There's no other variables, but you need to be able to know what a baseline is for that metric. And then you've got, for example, someone then taking an action, which is clicking through to the page that you want them to go to. Right, and then, for example, on that page, there's a number, which is the conversion rate. How many people that land on the page that you want them to see take an action, whether that's to fill in a form or contact you, for example. So those are metrics there. So there's multiple stages here of numbers happening. And if you can then optimize those numbers, then you're going to get a different result. As opposed to, again, using that phrase, flying by the seat of your pants, running a few different ads and then just randomly going, this isn't working. So what we're doing constantly is running different adverts, seeing which ones get a better conversion rate, i.e. turn, have an action turn into, say, a lead. And then we need to track, once the leads come in, does that turn into a sale? Because if we're doing lead generation on Facebook, but it's not turning into an actual sale, but we're generating the leads, then that's something we need to look at and go, well, this campaign is working, but they're not converting into actual dollars or pounds. And so, again, once you start to break this down, it becomes a lot easier, but you just need to know the conversion points involved.
Yeah, and what's also, I think, important with that is that, if we do something like that and we don't get the money in the bank, right? We don't get the conversions we want. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's just a waste of my time," because they don't know the process and they don't see where it broke down. They just assume the whole thing is a waste of time, and that's not the case, because when we operate by the numbers, it's not did it work, did it not work. What it is what worked, what didn't work. Okay, how do I fix what didn't work to make it all work? Versus just throw it out the window. And
how do I fix it is such a better question, and AJ is completely right.
Yeah, it's not failure. It's okay. Where do I need to focus to fix? And so, if you think about it, the difference could be one conversion, like to get your money back. Like if the package you sell, let's say you create something that's worth $3,500, and that's what you sell, right? And you spend you spend $1,000 on traffic and you get these leads, but no one converts. Okay, well, let's say you spend $2,000 on traffic, you get the leads, nothing converts. Now you spend $3,000 on traffic, you get the leads, nothing converts. All right. However, if out of all of those leads you can convert one person to buy your $3,500 package, you just basically got all those leads, got a conversion, broke basically even, made $500. But the question is like, okay, how do I invest $3,000 to find out whether what I'm doing is working or not? And the only way to do that is to have a high value product for sale or service for sale or offer for sale. You can't do this if what you're selling is $27.99, whatever it is. A lot of people do the free trials where people sign up for free. To do that without knowing numbers is really important to understand that you may get lucky, you may not get lucky. That's why you'll see people say, oh, things work for them, but it didn't work for me. And it's a case of, well, it didn't work for you. And if we look at what you did, number one, you didn't do the exact same thing in that you put a spin on it, or the language you used, the marketing, whatever, it wasn't strong, it wasn't good, the copy, all of that stuff. The other thing is you're looking at, money spent, money earned. You're not looking at the process and breaking that down and seeing like where you can make your money. And we can go so deep with this from the point of, when we're paying for advertising, how many people show up, and then if they don't sign, obviously we want to get the money right away. So maybe they come in and we talk to them, try to get them to buy a big package. And then what do we do after that? Is there an opportunity for them to test it out for free, which is like the trial, or, there's so many things we can do in order to make sure that we are profitable. But we don't know that unless we're looking at each phase there. We don't know that unless we have, statistics and data to process. And so this goes beyond just, the front end. On the back end too, in terms of getting results for your clients, same thing. You should know, how many pounds on average does someone lose a week? Because all of these things become ammunition for you when you're selling, become case studies for you when you're talking about it. And so you can become a better trainer if you really get, all of the numbers in all areas of your business in place. When we're talking about leads, conversions, we're talking about delivery, everything needs to be tracked and measured. And so, yes, you will have a lot of numbers that you're keeping track of. But trust me, guys, like the minute you start doing this is the minute you start to understand where your focus should be on the business. All right. And then that way, when you got your hour spare between clients, that hour can be 100% focused on the thing that's going to bring you the most amount of money, versus, doing something because someone told you that it's a good idea to post this like motivational thing on Facebook, to get lots of shares and stuff, to get more likes for your page that could lead as a client. And, and you can track all of that stuff. You can track how many likes you have on Facebook, how many leads come from Facebook. If your likes go up and the leads go up and you notice a pattern there, then you know that it's working. But most of the time it's not that's not the case. And so you need to understand it's like, everything can be tracked and measured. I don't care what people say. You got to look at the lifetime value, because you never know when you'll break even. And companies like who's the spot removal cream, Proactive, right? Proactive lose money like on the front lead for like 3 months. Because they know that in that 4th month they make profit. So they'll lose money for 3 months on each new person they bring in, knowing that they'll be profitable in month 4, and they're okay with that. So they can spend more money on the front end. So these are things that are important that you need to know.
100%. So guys, as always, head to iTunes to give us a review. The 5-star one would be awesome. That's the number 5. Since we've been not obviously the number 1, which would not be good, head to the number 5, and it would be honestly good to hear your feedback. You can reach out to myself or AJ, facebook.com/AJ Roberts. Also ajroberts.com. His new website is up and ready. Go check that out. Of course, my epic website, simonlovell.co.uk, is always available, apart from when I have server problems, which I did recently, which is a bit of a pain in the ass. But also you can reach out to me on Facebook. Would love to connect with you. Facebook.com/boylovell. Obviously, go to the Facebook page of the Fitpreneurs, which is at facebook.com/Fitpreneurs, actually, which makes sense. And AJ is going to read out the quote of the week, and And we're going to wrap up this episode.
Awesome. So this quote this week comes from Dave Ogilvy, and he is an advertising legend. If you guys ever get a chance to read any of his books, I would recommend that. But the quote is, "I prefer the discipline of knowledge to the anarchy of ignorance. We pursue knowledge the way a pig pursues truffles." And it seems like an odd quote, but I think it's fitting for today because basically the whole idea here is that we don't want to operate our business out of ignorance. We don't want to just operate our business out of gut feelings, out of ideas. What we want to do is we want to operate the business from a standard of knowledge where we know exactly what we're doing is going to make a difference. And I think that that's the biggest thing, Simon, I would think you have learned since we started working together, since you've gone on and been mentored by guys like Kevin and Tony Robbins and, traveling all over. You're starting to realize that it's the knowledge which gives the business the power, the growth, exceptional growth rates and things like that.
So from Bert and Ernie.
We'll talk to you next time.
Take it easy.
Guys, thanks for the killer episode. Listen, if you want to take your fitness business to the next level, terminate your competition, create ultimate freedom, buy new houses, cars, which could blow up, travel the world, or open your own gym where you can lift really heavy weights, then head to www.thefitpreneurs.com/free call for details on how to apply for your free accelerator call. Until the next episode, hasta la vista, Fit Pros. Fit Pros. Fit Pros. Fit Pros. Fit Pros.